was like, that's not an elephant, that's my sister. This is where you laugh. Oh, hey guys.
That was the most manufactured.
We're back with another episode. We're in a new
Who
setup.
thinks a person's an elephant?
We're in a new setup. It's only temporary because this is a one-time thing. We're in Tyler's parental figure's house.
Because their apartment's too small. And my house is 30,000 miles away. So
We just thought this was a good middle ground.
a good middle ground?
Yeah.
You guys live 30 minutes from here.
Yeah. So, yeah. Exactly.
Middle ground.
And you live here for now.
I don't live here.
For now.
I'm visiting, but
Yeah,
it's not like...
exactly.
Staying here.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I guess that's the proper...
Yeah, a good middle ground is you flying 8 hours to get here. It's a good middle ground.
I didn't ask you to come down here. You had reasons.
So you're saying I come down here of my own free will,
Yeah.
and you were like, I don't even care if he comes. I could do without ever seeing him again.
No, that's what I was thinking.
That's what I heard.
If I could talk. No, what I was thinking was, now that he's down here, I could take advantage of this.
Where are you going with that?
Well, my plans have not come to fruition yet, so
I leave tomorrow morning.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, so
Oh my goodness.
leave a dislike if you did not like Eric's banter.
Please.
Leave a like if you like Tyler coming down here,
I love how
and don't do anything if you are with me.
You can comment for him.
Yeah,
Three
that too. Do that. Okay, but either way, subscribe please. It helps us out. Today we'll be talking about the My Hero Academia Heroes Rising
For
movie. The movie.
Are we? Can I talk or
Sure.
Okay. I gotta try to interrupt your introduction of the movie, but while we were watching it, I forgot the name of it, and I thought we were watching. I thought it was called My Heroes One Justice, but that's the video game.
yeah.
And I was like, wait, that's not what it's called. And then the title screen came up, like, Heroes Rising.
That's right.
Rising Fist.
So then I just never. I never looked at the title of the movie. I just saw My Hero Academia movie, and I was like, yeah. The subtitle, never. Just didn't pay attention to it.
I stop at My Hero. I'm like, I know what it is.
Yeah, you see Deco on the front, you're like, yeah, I'm into this.
Mm-hmm.
I'll buy into whatever they put out there. I'm good. I'm a sucker.
You know what? It surprised me. Like, the theater was pretty full.
It
when
was.
When we went to see Heaven's Feel Part 2, it was pretty empty.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly.
Mm-hmm.
But we saw this movie, and it was...
And this was like the fourth day, the fourth run day.
It was the
or like
fourth,
a week.
yeah.
Well, no, yeah. 'Cause it started Thursday. It was a weekend run. We watched it on Sunday, and there was quite a bit of people there. So yeah. Because we watched Heaven's Feel on a Thursday night,
I don't remember.
Thursday or Friday. It wasn't like Sunday or Saturday. It was one of the earlier days in the week.
Mm-hmm.
But My Hero Academia is a lot more popular than Fate.
Yeah, Fate series in general.
I think.
My Hero.
I'm pretty sure.
I feel like Fate is.
It's more mainstream. I think.
Well, it is definitely more mainstream.
It's like more in the public. I think people are less embarrassed to go watch a My Hero movie than they are to watch a Fate movie.
I don't know.
I suppose, yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
But I mean, I feel like My Hero is just so popular, and since there's so many, I guess, it's a shonen, right? So it has its own little kind of criteria or its own genre, so to speak. I mean, a lot of people know Naruto is. A lot of people know what, all these series that are very familiar to
List
My
them.
Hero. Yeah. So,
List them.
Demon Slayer,
Okay.
Bleach,
Okay.
My Hero, One Piece,
What's that?
Food Wars.
Haha, good show. Love that show.
Too bad One Piece is better. Anyway, let's continue. So My Hero, the movie was actually really hyped up before we went to go see it. A lot of people were talking about how great it was, so I had high expectations just because of that, because of popular opinion of everyone. And for me at least, it did meet my expectations. So
I didn't have any expectations. I had no idea what it was about.
I had no expectations.
I don't have expectations for any anime movies. because to me they don't have impact on the actual story arcs.
It's like an extra filler story. It's just extra.
It's extra.
It literally is.
They just pull it out, and it has no impact on the overall story.
It's almost like what's it called? Fan service.
Yeah, they also serve as introductions to series. I feel like such that because when you're watching this movie, they explain the background. That somebody who already is watching My Hero Academia doesn't need these explanations, like the explanations of quirks, the explanations of
right.
But they explain all this stuff, and so I feel like it is a advertisement for My Hero Academia. So if somebody can go to a movie theater and probably somebody who's maybe 11, 12 who'd be interested in watching a cartoon.
Well, I did notice that there were some kids that actually were 8, 9 years old going to the movie, going to see it. But then they had their parents with them, and they were older, so maybe they have been watching it also. Maybe not.
But you go to
maybe they were just the ride.
Exactly.
That could be it.
But since they're there, they have an explanation, an idea of what is going on in that world, so they're not completely out and lost.
But I imagine as a 9-year-old or a 10-year-old, the shows you watch on Cartoon Network or that I watched were the flashy animations, Yu-Gi-Oh, Dragon Ball Z,
right,
Naruto, the things that I watched in Dandy Phantom was one of them. Those kinds of things where they had these flashy animations and it's cool. And so when you look at the poster for My Hero Academia, first of all, it kind of is reminiscent of Avengers.
I was thinking
you see it on there.
Thing, yeah.
It has all of these characters that look like superheroes on this poster. And they're doing cool things, and you're like, that's cool, it's flashy, it catches your eye as a kid, so a kid can see that and be like, I want to watch this. That's like cartoon Avengers, something, I don't know. But
right.
As a kid, I would see that poster, and I would be interested in watching that. So I feel that part of the reason for these movies is as a way to kind of introduce someone to the series or pull them in. Because it's non-committal. So if you want to introduce someone to My Hero Academia, the world, you can say, hey, let's go watch this. And it doesn't really spoil anything. It kind of does, but not necessarily, not really.
It gives some story of what has happened, but not really too deep in details.
Mm-hmm.
So, kind of what I want to talk about is, basically we'll just skip the whole movie into the last fight.
Spoilers!
Yeah, please.
Spoiler time. So if you haven't watched it, maybe come back to this.
We haven't spoiled anything yet.
We haven't spoiled anything yet.
We actually warned you
surprisingly,
before we spoiled this time.
Surprisingly, we haven't. Wow.
It's only because it literally just came out, and all the other shows we talked about, they've been out for a while, so you had your chance.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But, so in the end, we had this, pretty insane fight between this, super villain versus, Class 1A. And it really showcased how much each of them deserve to be in that class.
Oh yeah, well not all of them, most of them.
Okay,
the majority of them.
Invisible Girl, no. Freaking Mineta, get out of here. But
worthless.
They're all really good heroes, really.
Right.
So I don't know. I was just really impressed with the tape guy. I don't remember these guys' names off the top of my head.
So I remember tape.
Sorry?
I can't remember his name. I just know his hero name is Selene.
Selene. Okay.
Selene because of Selene tape.
That makes sense.
Okay.
We don't have our computers in front of us, so we can't just look this up.
Right, but that's the only reason I remember
so.
his name, hero name, or whatever.
He is cool. I usually
he stood out a lot more.
It's kind of dumb, but in this one, it was awesome.
I almost want to think that Class 1A has almost their own tier of where the heroes are in strength compared to their classmates.
Mm-hmm.
And of course you put Todoroki high up there, you put Bakugo, Deku up there. You'd probably put him in the middle where he's actually got some utility and he's actually pretty good. But then you also have other people that are near the bottom that they're strong, but there's nothing truly unique, I guess, about them. I'm just thinking of an example, you have the guy that he has super strength with sugar. Through sugar, that quirk. You'd probably put him a little lower just because comparing him to Deku, he basically has the same thing, except he doesn't have that kind of drawback. Deku has different drawbacks, but his strength is still like far superior to what
Deku's strength is more than just his muscles getting bigger.
Right.
It's a lot more than just that. Where that guy, Sugar Rush, is just I eat sugar and then I get strong and like bulky and muscly.
Right.
Now, Deku's strength is more speed and power,
right?
And just raw power as opposed to just muscle strength. And I think that's different than
it is. Yeah, I agree.
And in the anime world, it is. They're different things.
Right.
I can't say about like real fighting. I don't know anything about that.
But yeah, you make a good point. That it really did make the whole class stand out in this movie. Which I like a lot. That's
the advantage of a movie, though, is they have time to do that.
Yeah.
They can take the time to showcase all these things. I mean, a movie is basically, 6, 7, 8 episodes worth of content playing all at once?
Yeah. Oh, wait, so about the villain guy's like motivations, I thought it was pretty flat.
Oh, of course. He didn't really have much motivation.
It's like, yeah, we kind of give him a reason to be here to like fight these kids.
Well, they didn't give them much. Well, his reasoning was there, but there was no reason to make it seem like it was such a priority at the moment to capture the kid. I don't know.
Like it
took too long to reveal that.
Yeah, 9. He was cool, but it just seemed like the motivation.
So the motivation is that he wanted to acquire more power to be able to restructure society so that the power rule over the weak. And that sounds familiar to a lot of things, but yeah, like we didn't really see why he wanted to do that, but
I mean that's classic villain motivation, and that's fine. But usually there's in stories you'll have their main motivation, like the hero is like I gotta save the world, I gotta become the #1 hero. But then they have nuances to that motivation, like Deku's like I gotta become the #1 hero. But I want to make sure everyone's smile safe on my face, make everyone safe along the way. Bakugo, I want to become the #1 hero by beating the crap out of every single villain that I find. Their motivation is the same, but the nuances are different. And so with this guy, his motivation was just take over the world. And like, what was the nuance in it? Like, why was he different than other villains as opposed just to his powers? And then they added this, his I gotta capture this kid to get his thing, but they took too long to explain why he wanted the kid.
Right. It was something that definitely took my attention as well. I think one drawback that 9 really had as a character was, I mean, you don't really have to add this for his subordinates, his lackeys. You don't really need to add that much to them. They were fine basically as they were. It's 9 that needs more backstory and depth. We had kind of a backstory, but the backstory was that he was, how he became to be, but nothing before then, or nothing else besides that. Or even the interval between him being, getting that first quirk and getting to the point of, actually attaining the other quirks, The gap was just that, and then he met the Chimera, the Chimera. And that's basically all it was. There was nothing in the middle.
It could be something as little as, like, he's talking to Deku when Deku and he's like, I used to be like you. That right there, that adds backstory. Just one small line like that, and then we understand, because we know Deku, we know who Deku is. And then from that, we can infer that, he used to be like Deku, he used to want to save everybody, or he used to be, whatever. Then something happened to him that turned him to the dark side. We don't need to know exactly what happened to him. But some small little, just thing like that can really add a lot of character. And it's very short, it's very quick. They don't have to animate any, I mean, it's nice to have those cool flashbacks, but you don't need a flashback. It's just a very, very small interaction with the two. And then later on, Deku, you can come back to it, too, with Deku being, trying to reach the villain. They do that with those kind of things. And it creates, an emotional moment between him and the villain. Like they do it with Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer often, I forgot his name. Tanjiro will connect with the demons, and
basically every time.
Yeah, with these small little backstories. They use flashbacks, but that's okay. There's small little things, but yet he still defeats them, and the demons don't really feel remorse, but they do connect and they have an emotional moment in the midst of their battle.
Right.
So, and it adds back to the villains, but something as simple as that can help.
That's very true, though. I just wish they could have done something a little bit more with that.
Yeah.
The powers were cool. The fights were flashy. I mean, Studio Bones. I mean, they were involved with it, so they did
You
very
compare
well.
it to...
I compare it a lot to like I want to say like Naruto, and or like especially like the you know, I don't know what I'm saying. Okay, as the fight progressed, like it reminded me of the Naruto and Pain fight where it gets more and more intense, and the quality also drops to kind of accommodate for what is happening.
Right.
But it was really cool, and it makes sense. You gotta do what you gotta do, and I don't really see that as a negative. But
Right.
they do that in Naruto, they do it in Fate Apocrypha, they did it in this, like, but I think it makes sense when everything's getting kind of like
Absolutely
really intense.
insane. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
When I think the animation quality stayed as consistent as possible, what I think the quality drops is in... Because with fights, it's important to have a sense of direction, a sense of... what do you call it? Like, you want to know where everybody is in their world.
Yeah.
So when a fight's going on, you can look down on the map and say, Deku was here, Bakugo was here, Nine was here. When these fights get so grand, you lose track of that all. You don't know where people are, you don't know what they're doing. Like, the kids are in this rock, but then this huge giant storm destroys the whole island. You're like, how are these kids still safe? How do the freaking Deku and Bakugo, like, where are they? They're just floating in the sky. You just don't know, you have no grounding. You have no idea of where people are and where the fight is happening, that kind of thing. So it takes away from the simple fights. Like we were talking about the Naruto, like their taijutsu ones. We know where they are. We always know where they are. They're not getting so huge that they're destroying everything.
Right.
But,
One thing I really loved about the movie in general, though, real quick, a little bit of a tangent, though, is how involved Bakugo was with the story. But it wasn't just Midoriya or just Bakugo. It was them together, which is so different from what we usually see between the two of them. So I thought it was a really cool idea to use a movie in order to kind of put them together in a situation, against a villain. They even had some team attacks, which was
cool.
really cool.
Yeah, like
really
the other
cool.
thing was like Naruto Sasuke versus Momoshiki.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, another
Like,
great comparison.
their synergy and their like team play is really, I feel like a little too good. Like they've never actually worked
We've
together.
never seen them work together before.
Unlike Sasuke and Naruto, where they were actual squad mates, they like actually battled together and off each other. Or Bakugo and Deku never actually did that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's besides the point.
But it's a movie.
Yeah.
It's a movie that doesn't actually... It has no bearing on the canon whatsoever. So
Right.
I can let that slide and have no effect on my overall opinion of the movie. Simply because it's separate.
Yeah.
If that happened in the show, then I'd be like, why? That's kind of dumb.
They would kind of take you out of the experience.
Exactly. Because
A little bit, yeah.
wouldn't make sense.
Well, speaking of taking me out of the experience, like, what were you guys' thoughts when, like, Deku offered his power to Bakugo? Like, in that moment, as, like, Deku's explained to him, like, I can give you all, one for all. What were you guys thinking?
I thought it was really cool at in that moment because like Deku, it showed a lot of Deku's character where he's so motivated by not necessarily becoming the best hero, but by saving people and protecting people that he's willing to give up everything that he's worked and dreamed for his entire life, and he's accepting it. He doesn't think he's gonna get it back. He's like, this is it. I'm done. This has to happen. Here
Right.
you go, Bakugo. This is it.
In the moment, I thought it was great.
Yeah, and then it kind of just takes it all because it's no consequence. It's a movie, so they can't like change the world
Yeah.
at all.
Like at a tangent or like
That was the
different timeline.
Yeah. That was
So basically,
the
it comes
problem
back
with
and it's like, it was all a dream. Not really, but like, Bakugo doesn't remember it. One for All just goes back to whatever. So there was no consequences at all.
Even when All Might was mentioning how that happened, he didn't even really explain it. All he said was,
I think it's okay like that. Like
he said
a miracle.
like, yeah, he said like two things, and he's like, the power of All for One. No, more than that. The predecessors, the previous holders, and he thinks of his teacher, and he says, "Teacher, thank you," and all that. That doesn't really explain anything, but it's enough to say that something from, through them, something happened.
Like,
and that's all the explanation we get, and that's all that's really needed for the movie.
Yeah, because it comes back to, it's a movie, it has no bearing on the actual canon, so, I mean, they can do whatever they want.
Basically.
That's it. They don't have to explain it, and it doesn't really have to follow the same rules as the show. Which is okay, but in the end, if you're trying to judge it separately from the show as like its own entity, which wouldn't really do that, it would be kind of cheap to make it so that Deku sacrifices this, and he goes through that huge moment, and then it just comes back to him. Because if we were watching that, and like say, we were watching Endgame spoilers.
Okay.
And then Iron Man, Iron Man snaps, and then saves everybody, and then he doesn't die. Like, he stays alive. That moment of him just culminating as a character and sacrificing himself, it's cheapened. It becomes worthless, and the movie's a lot worse, because let's say he's dying right there, and then somebody comes up, Doctor Strange comes up, actually I can save him using my time necklace.
Yeah, they can just
and he
rewind him.
rewinds Tony Stark, and he's back alive.
It has the Dragon Ball effect, where it's like, death has no more consequence anymore, because I could just grab these and say, I wish for them back.
Yeah.
And then, boom, they're back.
Imagine how
Death
you feel, though. Like, you just had this really emotional experience watching Tony Stark die. And then it's like, actually, no, never mind. And you're just like, oh, well, that was stupid. Like, so as its own thing, it's kind of cheap to just have him sacrifice everything and then have it be, it just came back to me for no reason, I don't know why, and Bakugo doesn't remember any of this, so there's no character growth at the end of it.
I think that part was
Nothing
a little
really,
too convenient, that he doesn't remember.
Yeah, it's too convenient.
That part, yeah.
I'm okay with, like, it's a miracle.
Yes.
But, like, the fact that he can't remember, I'm like, what, you hit your head?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
His arm is just like, what happened?
You wake up with 2 broken arms, and you're like, oh, what?
Yeah, it does not. But, like I said, because it's a movie attached to the series, it doesn't really matter that happens.
Mm-hmm. But it was great.
But I'm saying, if we were judging it on its own merits, it wouldn't really stand up in that regard.
Right.
Yosh.
But yeah.
Yosh.
So, what was your favorite scene?
Oh, my favorite scene was probably... I have a hard time picking. The fight between Dark Shadow and Slice was really cool.
That was her name?
Yeah.
I never caught their names.
I caught
They said it
hers, but I
once.
didn't catch the Chimeras. Which is ironically my favorite villain out of all the... actually, all
my
of them.
favorite
They
moment
kept
was
calling him the
probably...
Beast.
Yeah.
Right, the
Beast,
Beast.
Chimera. My favorite moment was probably Todoroki. His shining moment. Because I feel like he deserved to be better than they kind of made him out to be in this movie. Like, he kind of, falls to the wayside.
He's the Genji. I mean, not the Genji.
The Neji.
The Neji.
There were several... I always say this all the time. I always have a hard time just making a decisive favorite moment. But the one that sticks out the most to me, though, is when that one girl makes her illusion to, save Deku,
cool.
and then literally that very second, Bakugo just comes out of nowhere and blasts Nine.
Yeah.
But Nine blocks it, obviously, but he just comes out of nowhere. No one expected it to be that soon, you can tell it was shocking.
I expected it.
Okay, but it was just really instant.
But what I liked about that moment is it wasn't Ex Machina, right? But it was set up.
Right.
Because you see Bakugo, he goes and he takes out the mummy guy, or that was the fight before? This is
No. That happened, and then he leaves.
He's like, now I gotta find the other villains.
Right.
And so Bakugo's trying to find Deku. He's trying to find those kids because he's like, oh, I gotta go to the shore. And so you can tell Bakugo's having that thought process is like, oh, I gotta get those kids. I gotta find the kids. So you can infer that, they set it up that Bakugo is close by or on the way. And so when that comes up, oh, I know where he is. And Bakugo can move incredibly fast.
Right.
So we know. So that wasn't like a cheap Ex Machina. It was I think it was a one that was set up. Yeah.
But that whole fight of him just like he tried to attack him and then he used like 3 quirks on Bakugo and he was like, all right, well now I know you could do those 3 things, which is pretty annoying and cheap. But hey, I've learned, and we know that Bakugo can learn very quick, and so he was even reacting. At moments where I thought he was actually going to get hit, he still just was dodging, and then he actually was about to hit him, and then he uses a 4th quirk,
the blue eyes.
The blue eyes quirk.
This guy's freaking Kabu. Like, Kaiba?
Kaiba. And so, yeah, it was... And then when we saw that quirk for the first time, we were like, oh, what the freak? Blue Eyes White Dragon. And so, I think that whole scene, that whole part right there was just some of my favorite stuff going on, really. It's something that just... The first thing I thought of.
So my favorite was actually in the very beginning, and with the car chase. Because I was telling Eric earlier that I don't care about people defining physics in anime, but when it comes to cars and driving on walls or drifting perpendicular to the road for hundreds of feet, or doing crazy things or flipping around I'm like, whoa, that's where I draw the line. I'm like, what the heck's going on here? It made me think of Mordred in Fate Apocrypha when she's making the car defy gravity.
But they use cars if they're just running. They can just make cars do I'm gonna do this thing, and then they turn the wheel, and then the car does a jump, and then 45 flips, and then lands. Now they're driving backwards, and they're talking to the dude at the same time as driving the car, and it's flying. Yeah,
I get you understand how to do this kind of stuff, but it doesn't explain how you're defying physics.
That's not how a car controls. You can't fly a car like a plane.
No, I'm not saying I didn't like that scene. I actually really liked it, but it was obnoxious.
It was a fun scene, but they didn't really. That scene was really tame compared to other ones because they kind of just drove the car straight, and then no one was really flying anywhere. They flew when they smacked into something, and then it went crazy.
Right,
but they weren't all right, now it's my turn. And then pulled back on the wheel and then
ramped up on the wall and just drove in front of the truck.
Yeah, that was dumb.
I was like, that's it.
That was dumb.
Endeavor's blast really took out that truck, though.
Well, that was cool.
I was they were Baki and Endeavor, they clashed the first time. It was it equaled out. But then he was like, all right, well, if you're going to try to run me over, I'm going to go full blast. And Baki's like, boom, big fire blast. Endeavor, boom, just consumes everything, and they're like, oh crap, and it's twice as quirk, but it's still just eradicated them.
I like that because we've never actually seen Endeavor do anything.
Right, we don't see him do much at all.
Very true, yeah.
Yeah. I think the most we've seen of him was the Stain arc.
Yeah.
And he doesn't actually do much.
Yeah, he does, he has a good, 5 minutes of screen time on that, and he actually does a few things, saving people, which is
not like that though.
Interesting to see.
That was cool. And we haven't seen. I want to see more Endeavor doing things because he's supposed to be the number one hero now.
Number one hero. We haven't actually seen him prove himself as the number one hero.
Yeah. Right.
Maybe we'll get some more of that in the show. Hopefully. We don't read the manga, so
no,
don't spoil it for us. Even though we spoiled stuff for you.
We expect you to at least have the knowledge that we do, but
yeah, exactly.
We expect that we have less knowledge than you guys.
I don't know. Overall, I think it was a pretty cool movie. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I give it about 42 eggs.
Yeah, maybe even 12 cartons.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
That's more eggs than yours.
I know.
Maybe even. Yeah, that's why I said
wait,
maybe
six egg cartons? Not 12 egg, dozen egg cartons?
No,
or 18?
I'm just thinking of, cartons of 12.
Yeah, a regular.
Yeah, average dozen.
144 eggs?
I mean, might as well make it a pretty good square, right?
Wow. Wow.
12 times 12.
It's a good movie.
Yeah.
I mean, 144 eggs. Take with that what you will. Make an omelet out of it.
Make 7,000.
Make more than 7.
Either way, good movie.
Yeah, good movie.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye.